Well, hello, my fellow TNFM patriots. Hope all is doing well this weekend. Got a few headlines I want to cover. The left right paradigm continues. And also, before getting started, I want to thank all the new subscribers and all the other folks sending me emails, comments, etc. I want to give a big shout out to those folks over at Patriot News and also Mike with Space Shot 76. And also want to give a big shout out to Dabu 77. Also dropping a lot of truth. Some of the elements that he has recently talked about, I have reached out. We don't agree on everything, unlike a lot of channels. And I've also got some information that I want to talk about as far as the Marine ISO orders from last week. I did some further digging, and I've got some stuff to share and bring to light. I was wrong on some of that information. I want to touch on that as well. Big shout out to my man Rod up in Pennsylvania, and TJ, my brother from another mother with Bear Independent. Appreciate you being there for me. Hopefully we can get together real soon. Also to American Joe, big shout out to him. Sorry for his loss. Go over there and support Joe. They just lost a family pet that they care deeply about. Been through that. Lost our first family member, child that is, of 17 years. A puppy that grew old, had a wonderful life, but it's always still a very bad experience when you lose a pet. Now I want to lead in with this before touching some of these headlines, because I've got a few. Folks, we're seeing mudslinging from both sides, neocons going crazy. We're even seeing fellow channels coming out and lashing out. Supposedly Patriot channels attacking other Patriot channels. So last time I'm going to address it. I've taken the last 2 days to tie up some loose ends, take care of some stuff that I have to deal with as far as prepping items, family, and all that. But I've taken this time to maybe take a look at, or a new look, if you will, of how I've been doing things. And I've got to tell you, it's been an eye-opener. Folks, to be honest with you, I may pull away from covering political items, but I'll go ahead and set the record straight. I started this channel because I wanted to have an impact. Didn't want to make any money. I don't make any money off of these affiliate sponsors. It may come down to just me carrying one, and that would be with my man Rich at SHTF and Go, because I'm a firm believer in his products, and we both have the same mindset: plan, prepare, protect, offering great products that he has to all of you to reach that goal. Now, EMP Shield offers a great product. I will carry that until further notice as far as protecting against EMPs, solar flares, or even lightning strikes. Those are good folks over there, and I believe in the product I use it myself. But going into what I was originally talking about, I may start talking more about preparedness, putting God first, trusting only in God, stepping away from the mudslinging of politics. I've even went on some channels whom I've done stuff with in the past, and not even getting recognized in the chats anymore in some of these channels. It's mind-boggling. Infighting, the getting in the argumentative angles, as you are, I am as well, tired of dealing with it. So I'm going to continue to update the website, bring you some headlines that I think matter, in issues like the neocons, the Federal Reserve. Going to get into a little bit of that. Now, my brother Ardoc pointed out, and I've also reached out, and it doesn't matter what some folks out there think. I've got several contacts in the military, Homeland Security, etc. Doesn't make me any more special than anybody else. It never has. I speak for a lot of folks that can't speak out due to their situation, status, but make my point. Some of these channels are talking about doors being kicked in, weapons being gathered, certain localities in California, something is at foot going on. I've dug into that into Northern California. I haven't found any evidence of that. Let's go to the screen capture. If you read this article, the Manpower Guidance, I had a fellow service member basically tell me this was done frequently, that it mostly contained issues as far as national disaster response, governmental response, and also, i.e., on the border. It is a acting order. You have to know how to decipher being military. So I'm going to go ahead because it's the truth, not fiction. It matters, right? I myself, last week, I'm going ahead and admit it, reporting, I still feel confident that I did. One of the first, to be exact. But some of the reporting, I might as well have jumped the gun on what it truly meant. And I'll tell you why. After talking with some military contacts, and also my brother Ardoc, in continuing to dig on some of the information. Folks, if they have a implementation of a guidance or order via the military preparing to stop an invasion, a coup, or etc., the public will not have knowledge of it. So I was basically schooled by some fellow military folks, and I still get information. Some of it I cannot talk about. Overseas theaters, etc. But you know, there are, as RDoc mentioned, there are regulations and laws, military laws, UCMJ, that prohibits the military from making any kind of public knowledge of any secretive operations in planning, currently being conducted, or past operations, folks, like OPSEC, etc. So I wanted to come out and clarify that. But that is an official order as far as border, natural disaster organization, working with the U.S. military, etc. Let's get into some of the latest and greatest headlines. Then I'm going to touch upon a few articles that I feel are relevant. We've got this young lady going to hack it up, so get ready. Maria Yovanovitch, testimony on Trump cracks the wall of silence. The Guardian this morning. We've got the gentleman from Turkey again, lashes out. Saudis and Egypt's murderers, claims Assad killed 1 million people. It continues to intensify. Turkey and Syria. Saudi Arabia demands end to Turkish incursion in Syria. Shared these as well on Twitter and social media. President Xi and the President Mahdi meet, focus on trade, border. Check that headline out. Hong Kong protests, Molotov cocktails thrown in metro station. More violence in the train station in Hong Kong. Syria's Kurds may turn to Damascus in absence of U.S. forces. Indonesia nabs 2 accused of planning to attack Bali police. Now here's an interesting headliner. Federal prosecutor said to be investigating Rudy Giuliani, pointing out foreign donors, contributions by individuals of more than $50,000 to Clinton Foundation from 99 to 14 by nationality of donor. Ukraine. Don't shoot the messenger, folks. I'm just relaying the headlines that are now currently out there. Ukraine, 10 million. England, 8.4. Saudi Arabia, 7.3. And it goes onward. You can read as well as I. Greece, 1.1. Bosnia. Can't speak correctly this morning, but you know what I mean. 1.0. And it goes onward. Kind of interesting. Ireland, 6.5. This is big numbers, folks, to the Clinton Foundation. Just food for thought. Global air freight decline, now worse since '08 financial crisis. Something to bear in mind. Trump holds Louisiana rally. I watched a little bit of it. It's pretty interesting. Trump to exit Open Skies Treaty, banning Russian recon flights over U.S. Here's a headline that I thought was very interesting. Sweden backs down from abolishing ancient history classes after huge backlash. Sound familiar, folks? Erasing, eroding away history, AI, etc. Pretty much rewriting history. Sound familiar? National Geographic warns. Check this headline out, folks. National Geographic warns billions face shortages of food and clean water over next 30 years. Now that's pretty interesting considering what all has transpired in the last few years. Go back to the screen capture. Check out this headline. I wonder if it has anything to do with that company right there, folks. South Carolina okays Google pumping drinking water to cool servers. Probably won't hear MSM elaborating on any of that, though will we? But they want to talk about this 12-year New Green Deal instead, right? I thought so. 40% of Hong Kongers want to flee city amid protest and imminent recession. It continues, folks. Pompeo can't blame Iran for attacking itself. Or can they? Talking about the recent ship, they're claiming a missile strike was conducted on an oil tanker belonging to Iran. Interesting headline here. Rip the mask off anonymous LLCs. New York City billionaire set to be exposed in new housing law. Here's a picture of that Sabati. Hope I pronounced that right. Iranian oil tanker hit off Saudi coast may have been missiles. Iranian media reports. U.S. troops come under fire as Turkish forces advance in Syria. Luckily, none were killed or severely injured. Latest reporting. Federal prosecutors are investigating whether Giuliani violated foreign lobbying laws in Ukraine. It continues, the saga, that is. Homeland Security Secretary out in 6 months, developing. Terrifying footage shows more than 1,000 firefighters battling to contain wildfires in Southern California as 100,000 are forced to flee their homes. Now, I want to touch on this couple of last headlines here. Terminally ill scientist is about to transform into world's first full cyborg. Kind of crazy, huh? Will America catch parasite fever? Check this Vanity Fair headliner out. Let's move over to some of the others I have. Moving onward. Gains made in the Congo Ebola fight. Not fight. But challenges persist. It's an interesting article. The Democratic Republic. Not enough coffee this morning, TNFM patriots. Get it right, Matthew. Of Congo continues to make noteworthy gains in first fight against Ebola. You can check out this article yourself. It's on the website, truthnotfictionmatters.com. Take a shot of coffee there. Excuse me. 14 confirmed cases in the past week. The lowest figure in a drop from 51 in mid-September, 126 in April, the peak of the outbreak. More news. Breitbart headline, Taliban observes 18th anniversary of Afghan war. Let that sink in, my fellow Americans, TNFM patriots, world patriots. 18 plus years. Over $8 trillion has now been spent over in the sandbox. More in the news. PG&E shares owned by who? You guessed it, the Rothschilds. Shares rise even as epic blackouts persist in California. San Francisco-based utility owner gained as much as 2.8% Wednesday. That's largely because the outages won't have much, if any, impact on PG&E's earnings. You know, the ones that have recently filed Chapter 11. But 2.8% to the good, they claim. Really? Wow. Unbelievable. This energy executive, I don't see a whole lot of negative about them turning off the power. Bloomberg intelligence analyst Mr. Knowledge said in an interview they have been talking for days about potentially having to turn off the power. So there shouldn't be any surprise here. He talks about. Check it out. Read it for yourself. It's a doozy. And we've got this in the headlines. Don't tip me. A couple of days ago. Maybe more than that. This one's October 8th article. Hillary Clinton fires back at Trump, daring her to run with eyebrow-raising tweet. Kind of the same when she said, we came, we saw, he died, remember? On CNN. Well, I've got another headline that I continue to look at with amazement. The same network. Back in 2016, watch CNN anchors disbelief that Clinton aides destroyed phones with hammer. You guessed it. What happened to that story? Well, you probably know just as well as I. Some neocon news. Ron Paul on Syria, neocon war, caucus. Graham, Rubio, Romney, Haley always want to stay at war. You guessed it. Got the article I'm going to be sharing on the description. You can listen to the video yourself. But some very good comments made by Rand Paul, whom I respect very much, and his father. Don't agree on everything, but I do as far as bringing the troops home and getting rid of the fiat currency-based Federal Reserve. Well, this is a headline that I have on the website. It's an older headline. How many UN troops are in America? Staff positions at UN headquarters in New York and onward. Soldiers and all soldiers that are attached to the UN on its various missions globally are paid under direct command authority of the national countries, that is, basically, it's saying. Direct link between their national military headquarters, national force commander, and onward. ROE gives you a history of the UN funding missions around the world. You know the rest of the story, as the late Paul Harvey would claim. Some of the destruction left in the path of the UN. This is an interesting read, and we move on to this headline. Just on the 9th of October, maybe some of the reasoning why we're seeing some of the continued war effort chants and talk they won't talk about. UN may run out of money by end of October, this headline reads. Think about it, my TNFM patriots. They won't talk this truth, but continue to spew the fiction, correct? The United Nations is running a deficit of $230 million US. This General Antonio said on Monday, may run out of money by the end of October. In a letter intended for 37,000, let me say that again, 37,000 employees at the UN, obtained by the AFP. Stopgap measures would have to be taken to ensure salaries and entitlements are paid. Meaning, we've got to find a war to get in, right? And get out of there. Another headline also on the website from the other day on the 8th. Trump's green light to Turkey raises fears. Gotta have those fears, folks. Remember? McStain and others. Fears. The boogeyman about ISIS detainees getting out. Wrecking more havoc. Gotta raise the fears. Let's check into this headline. I got a few more. No thanks. Thank you very much. Pentagon sending more troops to Saudi Arabia. October 11th. U.S. Defense Department announced Friday it will send thousands of additional troops and more equipment to Saudi Arabia in response to months of heightened tensions in the region involving these areas, including Iran. Central Command covers military operations in the Sandbox, Middle East, in Central Asia. 2 fighter squadrons, Expeditionary Wing, 2 missile defense batteries, Terminal High Altitude Aerial Defense Systems, or THAAD, etc. $8 trillion and counting, folks. Here's a doozy of a headline that you don't hear anything being talked about at all. FBI finally agrees to name Saudi official who helped 9/11 attackers. Funny how that just slipped right on by, huh? Zero Hedge article. Here's another one. How vulnerable are America's power grids? Check out this article. China's coal power firms haven't kept pace with clean energy shift. That's an interesting video, off subject, but a good watch as well. But everything from malware, cyber attacks, to geomagnetic storms, to nuclear detonations, folks, in the atmosphere above the U.S. Sophisticated electronic weapons from Russia and China, and they mean North Korea, they're just not saying it. All these threaten to shut down our grid and sow chaos. Gotta have that fear, folks, remember? So what, if anything, is being done to counter this threat? Well, go over to EMP Shield. They're doing something about it. Thought I would give them a real quick shout out. It's like Space Shot will be live in 30. I better hurry up and get done, or all of you can go over and join him. Bloodlines of the Illuminati. You know, the 88 families that truly run the world, that no one seems, as Dabu is duly correct in saying, no one will dare touch. We keep continuing to see the left-right paradigm mudslinging. You know, we're draining the swamp. We're going to catch some flack for this, but I don't care, folks. I believe I'm going to remove my filter here in the next broadcast that I do in the future because, folks, I can't filter it anymore. Draining the swamp, the same slogan Pelosi used. Go check it out. Look it up. In 2006, when she first ran for Madam Speaker. Folks, if you go do some research, don't trust anything I tell you. Don't shoot the messenger either. Folks, nothing's going to change until these deep underground elitist cabal members are dealt with. In fact, big shout out to the late Bill Cooper, whom for which tried to alert as well of that fact. Predicted 9/11. It's all right here, folks, in this PDF. I'll leave you the link. Check it out for yourself. It's an interesting read. Secrets of the Illuminati, locked up tightly simply because secrecy is a way of life. Imagine that. Well, folks, didn't want to make a too long, drawn-out video. You know, I'm going to try to keep these down. Actually, I'm over 30 minutes. I want to keep these down between 15 minutes and 30 minutes because I got to make a claim myself. It's really hard to watch a video over 45 to an hour. Even I would concur with that. But folks, it's real simple. It's good versus evil. It's got to be talked about more, about these 88 families, the left and right, mudslinging. You know, folks, I hope, again, I support a lot of folks that are more, I guess, optimistic. I haven't seen these 190 plus indictments. I haven't seen any evidence of any high profile folks locked up in Gitmo. I keep hearing about it. But I haven't seen any of this. I continue to support the president, but I want to continue to see these wars stopped. Troops pulled out, not only in Syria, but Iran, Iraq, Yemen, South Africa, and other areas. 8 trillion plus, folks. I want to continue to see withdrawal out of these areas. Not shifts, withdrawals. Somebody's got to say it, folks. And I got to tell you, more than not, these politicians that go to D.C. are the same. Don't believe me? Well, go up there, bring you some cookies, like this one gentleman whom I was listening to last night. Don't go up there to combat, but to converse, to have dialogue. Bring up the real issues of infrastructure, health insurance, the rising cost of insurance, bringing the troops home, the true cabal members still walking free, etc. And see if they don't slam the door in your face. Oh yeah, the very same folks that you elected and voted for. Don't take my word for it. Contact these folks yourself and see how willing they are to talk about the real issues that affect this very country and, frankly, the world. It'll be dead silence of a door slam afterwards. Then silence continues the chirp of crickets. So you tell me, why is Hillary Rodham Clinton, you saw the article, CNN of all networks, what happened to that story? Amazed and thrown back of smashing of phones. See my point? Why is HRC and all the others still not held accountable? We're going to impeach a president over a phone call, but we're not going to hear anything else about all the other past events, including 4 Americans killed in Benghazi. An ambassador, folks, drugged down the street for the world to see. Pallets of money delivered to Iran, unmarked dollars. The Sussex virus deployed by us. All these wars by us. Again, folks, you might want to do a compass check. It's time to focus on the real problems instead of ignoring them. Well, thank you for joining me. This is Matthew. Hope all has a great weekend. And remember to get your 10% off in products with the TNFM code with SHTF and Go. Plan, prepare, protect. $50 off with the Truth Code, EMP Shield. Pray for the United States of America. Long live 1776. Pray for the Blue, Gold, and Red Star families. Long live 1776. Support our vets. Patriots, stand tall together for the anthem. Keep fighting. Hold the line. God bless you all. Here we go with the you-know-whats. Hot off the press, shooting at church in New Hampshire, folks. Imagine that. Visit these links. Continue to visit truth.fictionmatters.com. This is Matthew with more to come. Till next time, signing off for now. Thank you.